So we got to talk about the struggle of having perpetual high blood pressure and not being able to get off of blood pressure medications or desperately trying to figure out a way to avoid getting on blood pressure medications. So in this video, I'm going to talk about the primary causes mainly of high blood pressure and what to do to address and fix all of these issues that cause high blood pressure and maintain a healthy blood pressure and doing it in natural ways. Now, high blood pressure in and of itself isn't really a disease. It's more of an indicator of disease that's caused by a variety of things. So primarily, there's four main things that usually cause you to have and maintain high blood pressure. So the first one is going to be dehydration, okay? The second one is going to be chronic inflammation. The third one downstream from that is some sort of vitamin or mineral deficiency. And then the other one is some type of vascular damage or atherosclerotic plaque buildup. Now, starting off with dehydration. Dehydration, in my experience, is the number one cause, actually, of high blood pressure or hypertension, right? Now, dehydration reduces oxygen uptake. It reduces the oxygenation of your cells, okay? And the reason why is because water is the primary mechanism of oxygen transportation to your cells. Your cells need oxygen in order to stay alive and engage in the respiration process. When you're dehydrated, your blood volume actually takes a bit of a reduction, and there's a strain in transporting that oxygen to your cells. So when there's a lack of oxygen saturation in your blood, your body compensates by causing vascular constriction, which is a narrowing of your vascular system. That creates more pressure to actually speed up the circulation of your blood in order to expedite oxygen to your cells in order to compensate. If you're diabetic or pre-diabetic or insulin resistant to one degree or another, this would also contribute not only to you having high blood pressure, but also high blood sugar. In direct correlation with the dehydration, you got chronic inflammation. And a lot of the chronic inflammation is actually caused by the dehydration, because the dehydration leads to the lack of oxygen to the cells, right? Which leads to oxidative stress on the cells, causing a mass die-off of the cells. And your body wants to combat the dying of those cells with inflammation, right? Now, along with the oxidative stress and the inflammation, that causes vascular constriction, a tightening of the vascular system, right? Because as your body is producing stress hormones, adrenaline, cortisol, etc., leading to that vascular constriction, that elevates your blood pressure. Basically, high blood pressure, again, is an indicator of these issues. Now, typically in my experience, a lot of the issues that people face not just stem from the dehydration, but also a lack in certain vitamins and minerals, primarily magnesium and potassium. If your sodium intake is disproportionate to your potassium, then that can contribute to or just outright cause you to have high blood pressure. Even if you reduce your sodium intake, it's not really going to make much of an improvement until you increase the potassium intake. Potassium, like sodium, are both vital electrolytes that your body needs in order to maintain adequate functionality. Speaking of electrolytes, we have magnesium. Magnesium, as far as minerals are concerned, is, in my experience, the number one mineral deficiency that people typically have, and it goes overlooked because it's difficult to diagnose, because we don't really store much magnesium in our blood, right? What they call serum levels. Magnesium is stored inside your lean mass, your bone marrow, your organ tissues, muscle, etc., right? So that can go overlooked. So if you have a diet that is magnesium deficient, and you can tell because if you look at the foods that you normally eat, well, if it's a lot of animal products, if it's high in saturated fat and processed sugar, those are things that deplete magnesium. And then if you're dehydrated, then your body does a poor job of retaining magnesium or shuttling it to your cells. So there's a lot of different things that actually contribute to a magnesium deficiency. And then, of course, if you're chronically inflamed, well, your body has to expend that magnesium in order to help to combat that inflammation and oxidative stress, right? So if this is the case, you definitely want to have more foods in your diet that are abundant in magnesium and even supplement with magnesium if need be. Now, as far as vitamins are concerned, we got to talk about vitamin D deficiency. Upwards of at least 60% of the population is actually vitamin D deficient. And this is necessarily important for you to take note of if you are a melanated person, if you're a person of African descent. And the more dark skinned you are, the more brown you are, the more urgent of an issue this is, because the people who are most likely to be vitamin D deficient are black people, right? Or dark skinned people, right? My fellow melanated people. And if you don't really get much outdoor time, you're not getting much sun exposure because you're working an office job or you spend too much time at home, you're not really getting outside, being active, well, likely you're vitamin D deficient. People who are most likely to be vitamin D deficient are people with autoimmune disease, diabetes, high blood pressure, obesity, and kidney disease. And then we've got your more water-soluble vitamins. And you're more than likely deficient in your water-soluble vitamins if you're constantly dehydrated. Your water-soluble vitamins are your B vitamins, B1 through 9, B12, and vitamin C. Your B vitamins are necessary for optimizing and maintaining healthy function of your nervous system, your motor neurons, and everything like that. If you're dehydrated and you're lacking those B vitamins, well, your body's going to do a very poor job of utilizing your food for energy and having adequate communication throughout your nervous system, right? So there'll be hitches in your nervous system that I refer to as a latency, which means that there's a delayed communication from one part of your nervous system to the other, from your brain to your gut, from your neck to your toes, etc. So there's a slower communication, there's this delayed response, and that can cause inflammation and miscommunication throughout your nervous system. It can be memory loss, brain fog, it could be accumulating excess levels of body fat, it can be excess body fat around the midsection, it could be swelling around the lymph nodes, it can be excess body fat or swelling underneath the chin, the jawline, etc. A lot of inflammation, water retention, edema, neuropathy, etc. So a whole host of things that lack of B vitamins can contribute to. And then we've got vitamin C. Now, vitamin C is very important for maintaining blood oxygen by maintaining a healthy level of hemoglobin, red blood cells. Now, your red blood cells are essential to oxygen absorption in your blood and transportation of that oxygen to all the cells of your body. So a lack of vitamin C would also compound the dehydration, reduce the oxygen uptake, and cause you to be anemic, would cause you to have low hemoglobin, low red blood cell count, things of that nature. And then, and I'm gonna get into this next, but also a lack of vitamin C can also contribute to vascular damage and atherosclerotic plaque buildup. Now for the fourth cause, which is vascular damage or some form of atherosclerotic plaque buildup. Atherosclerotic plaque buildup, I'm gonna start there. That usually occurs when there's an excess amount of saturated fat and protein in the diet combined with calcium, right? When you're consuming a diet that is high in amino acids like cysteine, when you're consuming saturated fat to a significant degree with a diet where you have a significant amount of protein, anywhere, let's say, over 20 to 25% of your daily macros, that can really contribute to that atherosclerotic plaque buildup. Now, atherosclerotic plaque buildup doesn't just develop on its own from healthy blood vessels and healthy arteries. It mainly builds up after there's been some sort of damage to the cardiovascular tissues. And then as a result, that plaque is then rushed to the area that has been damaged, and it's used as a way to, as a sealant, or like a cork, so to speak. But the problem is that plaque buildup doesn't really stop. It just keeps growing over time. So if this is your issue, you want to reduce the protein intake. Now, typically, I recommend reducing your protein intake anywhere between 10 and 16% of your daily macros, okay? You want to reduce your saturated fat as much as possible and prioritize polyunsaturated fat sources, okay? I'm going to get into the food choices next after this part, what I got to explain here, okay? Now, we know the saturated fat is bad. We know the protein and all of that. These things combine and contribute to the atherosclerosis, or the, not athero, yeah, atherosclerosis, but atherosclerotic plaque buildup, right? But consuming protein and saturated fat is also very acidic. There's a lot of acid that is formed as a result of digesting these things. And so that acid is a byproduct that has to be filtered through your liver and your kidneys. Now, your liver and your kidneys, they get worn down over time under the load of all of this acid. So as you're consuming an acidic diet, if you're deficient in things like water, magnesium, potassium, B vitamins, and vitamin C, well, the acid becomes overwhelming. And that takes your body gradually out of this alkaline state and puts you in more of an acidic state. And that's where the chronic illness really sets in. So in our society, there's a really big emphasis on protein intake, right? Eating animal products, red meat and chicken and fish and all of this type of stuff. And then we're cooking these things in oil, so we're getting a lot of extra fat from the oil, and then we're oxidizing the fat by cooking the oil in high temperatures, along with the meat and the eggs, and then using butter and things like this. So this is a lot of saturated fat and protein. Gradually, this makes you more insulin resistant, and insulin resistance causes you to gain weight and contributes and primarily causes obesity. But it also, along with raising your blood sugar and your insulin, raises your blood pressure and contributes to vascular constriction as the oxidative stress and inflammation increases. The more protein you consume, there's something called homocysteine, which raises in your body, and that signals the expansion of interstitial fluid. That interstitial fluid basically is fluid that exists in between your cells. And what that's meant to do is cycle metabolites and toxins out of your body through your lymphatic system and through your kidneys. But as that interstitial fluid expands, you get more edema, you can get more neuropathy, and you also get higher blood pressure as a result. So that's what the causes of the problem are, right? Now let's talk about the dietary solutions, the natural solutions. I'm going to start with the food first. In order to correct for the chronic dehydration, we should really be implementing and focusing on more hydrating foods. Now, my food of choice is going to be from the fruit category. There's a variety of different fruits, typically the ones with more of an astringent quality to them are really going to be the biggest game changers and should be prioritized. At the top of the list, we have everybody's favorite, which is going to be watermelon, if you can get it. Right? It's more of a seasonal thing for the warmer seasons. But if you can't get the watermelon for whatever reason, well, the next best thing is something like grapes or tangerines. Now, grapes and tangerines are very rich sources of vitamin C, vitamin K, copper, magnesium, and manganese, as well as potassium. These things are like natural blood pressure medications. And we have some other fruits that are a really big deal. One of my favorites is actually grapefruit. Grapefruit is a bit controversial because if you're on blood pressure medication, they tell you to avoid grapefruit. But grapefruit is a natural blood pressure medication, and in my opinion, that can actually work better than your blood pressure medication. So for me personally, if I had to choose between eating grapefruit or taking blood pressure meds, I'd go with the grapefruit. Grapefruit is a very rich source of beta carotene that converts into vitamin A in the body. It's a very rich source of vitamin C, B vitamins, and potassium. Okay, so that also would cover a lot of the vitamin C deficiency, as well as the B vitamin deficiencies, as well as all of the other fruits I named. So then we got pineapples, we got pears, apples, cherries, all the berries. And then we've got things like pomegranate. Now, all of these things are really good for normalizing your blood pressure, but also helping to repair cardiovascular damage. There is a very important amino acid called malic acid. Now, malic acid is really important for repairing the tissues of your vital organs. That is your vascular tissue, your tissues that make up your digestive system, your heart, lungs, etc., joint tissue, and all of that. So if you have a diet that is abundant in B vitamins, vitamin C, and that malic acid, you can really start to heal and rejuvenate all the organs throughout your entire body. And that really goes a long way towards bringing your blood pressure back down and then keeping it at an appropriate level. In addition to the fruits, we then have your nuts and seeds and leafy greens. When I make diet plans for people who come to me to reverse things like high blood pressure or cardiovascular disease in general, one thing that I really like to implement is a salad, right, with an abundance of leafy greens and vegetables, cucumber, diced onion, bell pepper, as well as things like hemp seeds, pumpkin seed kernels, sunflower seed kernels, walnuts, cashews, pistachios, and things of that nature. Those polyunsaturated fat sources are really good for lowering your LDL cholesterol and raising HDL cholesterol while reducing other inflammatory markers like ApoB, for example. Okay. And also, these foods are very rich in potassium and magnesium and manganese as well, which are those alkalizing minerals that help to really keep your blood pressure at an ideal level. Also, these foods aren't excessive in calcium, so you don't have to worry about contributing more calcium to an already excessive calcium level floating around in your body, contributing to any potential plaque buildup inside your arteries. In addition to that, you can implement some probiotic-rich foods. Those probiotic-rich foods can be things like coconut yogurt, cashew yogurt, almond yogurt, oat yogurt, fermented vegetables like kimchi, sauerkraut, pickles, and then of course drinking things like kombucha or eating something like miso soup as well. You can have that more towards the end of the day or even with a salad at lunch, however you want to do it and is convenient for your schedule. Now, these probiotic-rich foods are really important for your cardiovascular health, your blood sugar, and your blood pressure because anything that helps to improve your gut health will improve every aspect of your health. The gut, or the digestive tract, is referred to as the second brain. So you have your head brain and then your gut brain. And then you have communication between the two called the gut-brain axis. And as you improve the communication and reduce the latency between your head brain and your gut brain, you get better functionality and responsiveness straight across the board. Not only do you get better blood pressure, blood sugar, less gas, bloating, constipation, diarrhea, brain fog, and all that type of stuff, you improve your sleep quality and everything. Everything improves straight across the board. This also contributes to more fat loss and muscle gain when you're training. Eating this way pretty much addresses every single one of the four causes that I mentioned. Now, if you're trying to optimize things to drop body fat and build muscle, what you really want to do is prioritize your water-rich, carbohydrate-rich fruits throughout the day. And then towards the end of the day is where you have most of, if not all, of your dietary fats. This is a lot of information, I know, and a lot of this stuff you probably haven't heard before and your doctor hasn't told you. But what they have told you is what medications you need to get on. And chances are you disagree, looking for a more natural alternative. If you need more of a personalized touch, there's a link in the description of this video. And through there, you can actually book a one-on-one call with me. We have a full 60 minutes to discuss your issues and talk solutions. You can also sign up for a custom diet plan or join my 12-week mentorship and become a Tribe by Noir member. Whichever one you feel you need, whatever level of support you feel you need, it's definitely available. So I look forward to talking to you soon.